This is Palm Sunday, and our first lesson from the Old Testament is a word of prophecy from the prophet Zechariah. It's a prophecy of hope, written after the Hebrews had returned from exile in Babylon. Although perhaps it is best known by Christians as a prophecy about Jesus' entry into Jerusalem. In the year 587 BCE, Babylonians invaded Jerusalem. They leveled the city and carried off its citizens to live in exile in a foreign land. They destroyed the temple, leaving behind nothing but ruins. Some 70 years later, the descendants of these Hebrews have now returned. And it is their hope, and it is the expression of this prophecy, that God would send them a leader who would restore their independence and the kingdom of David. Sadly, that turned out not to be the case, as the Hebrews continued to be dominated by the Persians, and then the Greeks, and then the Romans. But yet the king is described as arriving triumphant and victorious. From the prophet Zechariah, chapter 9, beginning at verse 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout aloud, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. Righteous and having salvation is he. Humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the war horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace to the nations. His rule shall be from sea to sea, and from river to the ends of the earth. As for you, because of the blood of my covenant with you, I will set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Return to your stronghold, O prisoners of hope. Today I declare that I will restore to you double. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Those believers who were the recipients of Peter's first letter faced the pressure to conform to the attitudes of the world around them, which sounds very much like our world today, as we are pressured to adapt who we are as a church and what we proclaim, because we don't want to ruffle the feathers of the people in the world around us. But Peter describes for us how God has given us a new family, and we must familiarize ourselves with the lifestyle of this new reality as Christians. Peter understands that being a Christian is becoming a Christian. It's always a process that involves spiritual transformation. Kathy, you were at a Curcio event the last couple of weeks. That's exactly the point. That life with God is a process in which we can be renewed and have joy each and every day. From the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verses 13 through 21. Peter writes, Therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the passions of your former ignorance, but as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all your conduct, since it is written, You shall be holy, for I am holy. And if you call on him as Father, who judges impartially according to each one's deeds, conduct yourselves with reverence throughout the time of your exile, knowing that you were ransomed from the futile ways inherited inherited from your forefathers, not with perishable things such as silver or gold, but with the precious blood of Christ, like that of a lamb without blemish or spot. He was foreknown before the foundation of the world, but was made manifest in the last times for the sake of you, who through him are believers in God, who raised him from the dead and gave him glory, so that your faith and hope are in God. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Simon Peter may have been history's first action figure. I can only imagine going to a store like Target and seeing a shelf of biblical action figures. And you'll have King David and Simon Peter and the Apostle Paul and Mary Magdalene and Jesus himself. Peter was one of those people who acted first and then thought about it. As a result, some of his actions were magnificent and some were magnificently awful. This is the Gospel according to Luke, the 22nd chapter, beginning at the 31st verse.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Simon, Simon, behold, Satan demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. But I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. Peter said to him, Lord, I'm ready to go with you both to prison and to death. Jesus said, I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow this day until you deny 3 times that you know me. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Let us confess our faith through our baptism into Christ.